Bad weather dropped snow and ice on a large area from the high plains to the already battered northeast. Now bitterly cold air is taking over much of the country. Our report tonight from NBC's Fred Briggs.
This was Boston's third snowstorm in 1 week. There was barely enough time to clear the snow from one before another storm came. From Beacon Hill to the suburbs, snow muted the usual city noises until the snowplows began opening the streets and homeowners tried to open their driveways.
Well, I think I can get up twice as fast as you get it down. I guess we're gaining something.
In Boston and eastern Massachusetts, the snow stopped about noon today, but more than 20 inches have accumulated since the storm started Thursday night. Elsewhere in the Northeast, the problem was ice. In Providence, it coated cars and streets, coated wings and runways at the Providence airport. Ice closed runways at Philadelphia's airport, too. Outside the city early this morning, a truck skidded out of control and overturned. And ice brought down tree limbs, which brought down power lines. Some 260,000 people are without electricity in the area. There will be a lot of dark homes tonight and dark streets. Hundreds of traffic lights have no power. The New York area had ice problems, too. One driver was taken to the hospital by helicopter after ice broke off a car ahead of him and smashed into his windshield. But the heaviest snows were found in New England, not in the mountains, but in a narrow belt between Hartford and Boston. A plastic dome covering the New England Patriots practice field collapsed. Boston's airport was closed much of the day, and throughout the city, the snow and snowplows entombed hundreds of parked cars. How do people describe this week?
It's the worst I've seen it in the last 3 years.
At least there will be 3 days to clean up. Forecasters say the next storm isn't due until next Wednesday. Fred Briggs, NBC News, Boston.
He was known in Congress as Mr. Speaker, but back in the old neighborhood, friends called him Tom. And in Boston today, hundreds of mourners lined up in the cold outside the State House to pay final respects to Thomas P. Tip O'Neill, Jr., following his death from a heart attack Wednesday at age 81. O'Neill represented his district in Congress for 35 years and was Speaker of the House for a decade. And funeral services were held today in Hot Springs, Arkansas for President Clinton's mother, Virginia Kelly, who died Wednesday at the age of 70. Close to 3,000 people attended the service. Afterward, President Clinton and his brother Roger thanked those who officiated. The Clinton family minister described Mrs. Kelly as an American original. Then, following a 90-mile motorcade, that is, Virginia Kelly was buried in Hope, Arkansas, the president's birthplace. And as he returns to Washington tonight, the president must now concentrate on the extraordinary week ahead, a 9-day overseas trip involving several important meetings. The trip will take him to a NATO summit, first in Brussels, then on to Prague, then meetings in Moscow with Boris Yeltsin, on to Minsk, and then Geneva before returning home. A preview of the president's trip tonight from NBC's John Dancy.
Later tonight, when Bill Clinton heads to Europe, he'll be trying to reassure skeptical Europeans they still count with America. Clinton will visit NATO headquarters in Brussels to propose revitalizing the Atlantic Alliance by reaching out to East and Central European countries which were once in Moscow's orbit. It'll be more an affair than a marriage. Countries like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic will be invited to participate in joint exercises and other activities. There is no time schedule for membership, and critics have said it's a shell game to appease Boris Yeltsin, who doesn't like the idea of NATO expanding eastward.
We should not be capitulating on fundamental interests, and we should not be mortgaging our support for other important democracies like Poland in the sort of notion that somehow all of this will save Yeltsin.
Clinton is expected to urge Yeltsin to press on with reforms, despite a clear protest vote last month by Russians against the hardships they see as caused by reform.
There's going to be pain, and you have to accept that fact and stay on the reform course and get it accomplished.
Clinton will cap off the trip by meeting in Geneva with Syrian President Hafez Assad, a meeting widely interpreted in the press as a payoff to Assad for agreeing to resume the Mideast peace talks. The State Department has denied it. Above all, the administration believes the Europeans crave reassurance that the U.S. is not going to cut and run, that NATO still lives, that the U.S. is still the leader of the free world. These Clinton is prepared to give, and because of that, when the trip is over, it will be judged a success. John Dancy, NBC News, the State Department.
And a reminder, Tom Brokaw will be reporting from Prague and Moscow next week here on NBC Nightly News. And America's foreign policy will be the chief topic tomorrow on Meet the Press. Joint Chiefs Chairman John Shalikashvili and Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan will be the guests. When Nightly News continues, the latest on the fires raging in Australia. And in this country, coming to grips with violence, the three-day search for answers. And an earful for a certain U.S. senator, our moment of the week.
Mashed potatoes and gravy, Santa cookies, Aunt Wilma's bundt cake.
The average American can gain 4 to 7 pounds during the holidays. You could be one of them. So include the Kellogg's Special K breakfast in your New Year's diet and get the scale moving in the right direction.
Fruitcake.
Kellogg's Special K. Lose the holiday fat.
Hey, now you can save $10 at participating Weight Watchers locations. See specially marked boxes of Kellogg's Special K.
Hey, out in Bullhead City, Arizona, this makes Ace the place.
We're here to help you.
With Ace 48-inch 40-watt fluorescent lights, just 74 cents each, and an ever-ready outdoor area light for $5.99.
Hey, Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Some people get nasal congestion, but if you get sinus congestion, use a sinus spray like Sinex. Only Sinex has a decongestant plus Vicks Vapors, so you can feel your swollen passages open up. For sinus, think Sinex.
Devastating wildfires continued to rage around Australia's largest city today. The firestorms have been sweeping a 500-mile stretch of Australia's east coast for the past 10 days now. At least 4 people are dead and hundreds have been injured. Thousands of people have fled their homes around Sydney. Dozens of homes have been destroyed. Hundreds more are in danger. The fires have scorched more than 1 million acres, sending thick, choking smoke across the countryside.
Yeah, mate, we can't let anyone down there, sorry.
I live there!
Yeah, mate, I'm afraid we can't let anyone down.
Desperate homeowners struggled with police but were turned away because of the danger. The flames are so intense, some are all but unstoppable. Arsonists are blamed for more than half of the fires, and police are on patrol now after reports of looting in some burned-out towns. The Reverend Jesse Jackson has embarked on a new campaign, his effort to save a society from itself. Today, Jackson released recommendations following a 3-day conference on black violence. It is just one aspect of the growing violence that costs the country thousands of lives and $20 billion annually. NBC's Pete Williams tonight on a search for a solution.
Near Orlando, Florida last night, authorities rushed a 30-year-old shooting victim to the hospital. Today, they're making arrests for his murder. Black leaders are calling such violence America's #1 civil rights problem. But many said the answer is not in the crime bill's call for more police and prisons. Religious and political leaders agreed today to spend more time teaching respect for life and the dignity of others.
Is that going to stop the crime problem next year? The answer is no. But will it, in fact, put us on a course to bring about real and meaningful change on a long-term basis? The answer is yes.
To a young man from Harlem, the real cause of crime is having no job, only pocket change, and facing a difficult decision every night.
Should I pay my fare and go downtown into Manhattan, where I pretty much know I won't get the job, and come back uptown and be hungry for the rest of the night? Or should I just go get me something to eat and live for now?
Housing Secretary Henry Cisneros said the administration is trying to create more jobs, but most said President Clinton hasn't done enough.
But I have not seen him propose anything with the priority that he did NAFTA, with the priority that he did balancing the deficit or dealing with the deficit in terms of urban policy. So far, this administration resembles an old James Brown record, talking loud and saying nothing.
Jesse Jackson said the way to get an urban program is to press for it in coming congressional elections.
And those senators who don't understand the legitimacy of this quest, it becomes our burden to put them in private life.
Jackson said more jails will only make things worse, adding to the 825,000 children whose parents are behind bars. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Almost a year has passed now since followers of cult leader David Koresh barricaded themselves in their Branch Davidian compound near Waco, Texas. The siege ended with the deaths of more than 80 members of the cult. On Monday, a confrontation opens in federal court about what happened when the siege started. NBC's Jim Cummins reports.
When do you think David's coming out?
These are some of the 11 Branch Davidians who face trial on charges of murder and conspiracy to murder in the shootout with federal agents near Waco last February. Their leaders, including David Koresh and Steve Schneider, perished in the blaze that ended the 51-day standoff in April. Jack Zimmerman was Schneider's lawyer. Zimmerman and Koresh's lawyers spent a lot of time at the Branch Davidian compound, Mount Carmel, the alleged crime scene, before the fire.
The unquestioned conclusion that we had reached after spending some 8 hours nonstop talking, interviewing people, walking through, observing the actual physical evidence was that there was not a crime scene, that there had not been a crime committed, unless you want to consider the ATF attack as having been an unlawful execution of a search warrant.
But officials at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms claim their agents were merely trying to peacefully serve a search warrant on Koresh and his followers when the Branch Davidians opened fire.
We didn't go there to engage in a gun battle, and that's not the way we do law enforcement in this country.
This is what remains of the compound. Since the siege ended, roadside vendors like John Ellis have shown up at the site, selling this home video that uses news footage in an attempt to prove there was a government conspiracy to get the Branch Davidians. The big issue at the trial will be who fired first. This is what it sounded like when a breathless cult member, Wayne Martin, dialed 911 to the local sheriff's department shortly after the shootout began.
There's 75 men around our building, and they're shooting at us in Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel? Yeah, tell them there are children and women in here and to call it off.
Catherine Schroeder, a former Air Force enlisted woman, is expected to be a key government witness. Schroeder was inside the compound during the shootout. She since has pleaded guilty to a gun charge in exchange for her testimony in the murder trial against the other defendants. Zimmerman believes it should be easy for prosecutors to win convictions against most of the defendants.
They have burned all the evidence, killed all the witnesses, and the case has been moved to the home base of the prosecutors and the home base of the FBI.
The trial has been moved to San Antonio from Waco because of pre-trial publicity. Most of the Branch Davidians and their children have left Waco too. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Dallas.
And when Nightly News continues, picking up the pace as the future arrives ahead of schedule.
I know what I like and don't like. I don't like irregularity. It slows me down. I don't like harsh chemical laxatives. I like natural. Like smooth texture, regular flavored Metamucil. It's the only natural fiber with no sweeteners, no added flavors, as well as no grit. I don't like those. So it's easy to take, easy to get the extra fiber I need. And it works just the way I expect from Metamucil, to get the body up and running. I like that.
Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
When it comes to paint, we're making a name for ourselves because we make our own and guarantee its quality. That's Ace, the name to know for paint.
I try to ignore my sensitive teeth, but hot and cold foods hurt.
That's why dentists recommend Sensodyne toothpaste to help stop pain and build protection against future pain every day.
Thanks, Sensodyne.
Trust Sensodyne, the dentist's recommendation for sensitive teeth.
It's a kick. You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C. I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it.
What's that word?
Beta-carotenes. It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
To help relieve your heartburn and give you something your body needs anyway, Tums has calcium.
What does my original Rolaids have?
And aluminum salt.
I think I'll try the calcium. The Tums.
Calcium-rich Tums.
Now, should you have the right to decide how and when you die?
It's a right that you should have the choice.
Dr. Kevorkian, exclusive now. Brokaw Couric, Wednesday.
In focus tonight, just how much of the future is already here? Well, quite a bit, as it turns out, as interactive computers are already changing the way we all work and learn. NBC's Ann Curry reports.
Seattle, where Boeing is building its newest plane, the 777. Even before it's off the assembly line, interactive software is training mechanics how to maintain it and all its 1.5 million parts.
Open the latches.
Boeing says mechanics are trained 20% faster and retain more. And a company tape shows how a computerized manual will let mechanics worldwide check their repairs.
The cargo can now be unloaded.
We expect the mechanics to be operating the airplane on day one at the level that they used to achieve after 1 or 2 years of experience.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield, how may I help you?
Interactivity is even changing a simple phone call. Telephone Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, punch in your ID number, and call path kicks in. Your file pops up on a screen even before a customer representative picks up the phone.
Am I speaking to Rosemary Davis? Hi, how are you? Do you have a specific claim number that you're calling about?
There was a problem with this. At first, people calling in were so taken aback when a customer rep would answer the phone addressing them by name that the company wondered whether the public was ready for call path.
They say, how did you know my name? Or, you know, what do you know?
But productivity jumped. The company handles 20% more calls daily, and callers wait an average of only 10 seconds for service.
That's the name of our game. You get in, you get serviced, and you get out.
Damage is to the front end.
The new technology is going to speed up our lives in more ways than one. Interactive multimedia will soon allow insurance agents to see an accident scene along with witness accounts and police and doctors' reports without ever leaving the office. The information is transmitted via phone lines and can be available to agents in different parts of the country at the same time within 24 hours of the accident. A corporation in South Carolina developed the system and is signing up companies now. They'll link up to a mainframe complete with a robot that can load a CD pack with the entire contents of a file cabinet.
So we've saved space, we've saved time, we've saved travel, all because of the new forms of electronic media that are now at the disposal of all of the companies out there in the world.
And now at the disposal of individuals as well. If you think life is fast-paced now, get ready. Ann Curry, NBC News, New York.
And when we come back, turbulent times in Mexico and the reasons behind a revolt by Indian peasants there who trace their ancestry to the Mayans.
You now command the supreme power in the universe. Rayovac Renewal, a new kind of alkaline battery created to be reusable. Renewal batteries outlive copper tops because they're reusable 25 times or more. They outperform old-fashioned rechargeables because you get alkaline power in every charge. More power, more game time. That's the power of renewal from Rayovac.
In her quest for a gold, world-class skater Nancy Kerrigan always eats plenty of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. You see, a meal with chicken noodle replenishes nutrients and helps give her the energy to keep going. In fact, it helps give her so much energy, she's thinking of pursuing some other sports, too.
Looking for the vacation of a lifetime? Look no further. Call now and sail away on Carnival, the best vacation value under the sun. You'll enjoy fabulous dining, fun-filled days at sea, lavish entertainment, plus visits to some of the world's most exciting ports of call, all for one low price. Even your airfare's included.
Right now, you can take a Carnival Fun Ship cruise for only $489, including all meals and airfare. See your travel agent today.
When we asked some denture wearers why they don't use an adhesive, they didn't have a lot to say. Don't need it.
My dentures fit fine. No problems here.
But after we gave them Fix-A-Dent, they just couldn't say enough.
It's amazing, the difference. It's a great new feeling of security.
Comfort.
Confidence.
I just plain forget I have them. That's because Fix-A-Dent adjusts to the unique contours of your dentures and gums, forming a thin, powerful seal for a better hold than you ever thought possible.
I could just kick myself for not doing this sooner.
Find out for yourself what it feels like to Fix-A-Dent and forget it.
The biggest stars, their best performances, their proudest moments. Bette Midler, Kevin Costner, Candice Bergen, and many more. The Golden Globes 50th tonight.
Sunday on Today, children know her as Jasmine. Adults from Miss Saigon now meet Leah Salonga.
Also storyteller Garrison Keeler. Join us Sunday.
And see what a difference today makes.
Car bombs exploded in Acapulco and Mexico City today. No one has claimed responsibility, but rebels waging war against the Mexican government have vowed to take their fight to the capital. The peasants began their rebellion in the hills of Chiapas, Mexico's southernmost state. NBC's George Lewis tonight on the roots of their guerrilla war.
They are the descendants of the Mayan people, these Indians who live in the scenic hillsides of Chiapas State. And this is the face they usually present to outsiders who come here to marvel at the colorful costumes and quaint customs. But a week ago, it was a different story. These are the Zapatistas, Indian rebels. There was little resistance when they took over 4 cities on New Year's Day, some of them carrying only sticks for weapons. Visitors to San Cristobal de las Casas, a popular tourist destination, say the rebels' demands were pretty straightforward.
The things that they were asking for were legitimate claims, such as the basic foundations of a healthy society: education, food, housing, land on which to live, and the likes.
The Mexican government claims that while the rebels were polite to tourists, they were brutal to local officials and landowners. But the army also has been accused of killing innocent civilians. Discontent has been brewing within the Indian population for years. The average peasant earns about $2 a day from subsistence farming, while some big ranchers have gotten wealthy. Disease is widespread, and children are undernourished. Local Catholic leaders have compiled a litany of abuses against the Indians who are at the bottom rung of the social ladder in Mexico.
The injustice, the oppression, the persecution, the racist discrimination, torture, so many things for many years.
Mexican President Carlos Salinas says if the rebels want social progress, violence is not the way to obtain it. The 14,000 troops have brought order back to this part of Mexico, but the rebels warn they'll be back. A threat underscored by the fact that the Mexican government has yet to deal with the underlying causes of the discontent here. George Lewis, NBC News, San Cristobal de las Casas, Mexico.
3 Russian cosmonauts blasted into space today, and one of them could become the most traveled man in space history. The commander, Valery Polyakov, and 2 crew members will carry out medical experiments aboard their Soyuz spacecraft. Then Polyakov will try to set a new endurance record, spending 427 days aboard Russia's Mir space station. 14 months away before coming back home. A homecoming of sorts produced our moment of the week this week. It was Senator Bob Packwood's return to Oregon for the first time in 4 months. Thursday night in Portland was typical. Facing sexual misconduct charges and a separate criminal investigation, his public appearances have instead become forums on whether or not he should resign.
Senator Packwood, sitting to my left right here.
When are you going to resign? You don't follow to every single place Bob goes to distract. This is our one chance. This is the first time he's been back here. Give us...
Packwood has been hounded by hecklers of late. As he travels around the state he has represented for 20 years, he reportedly has to check into hotels under assumed names. At least one group spent hours debating whether or not he should even be invited to a library dedication. These political perils of Bob Packwood conclude next week when he leaves the state. Legal matters are on hold until a federal judge decides on a Senate subpoena of Packwood's diary. When Nightly News continues in a moment, the king is dead. Long live the king.
I was blown away when my dentist told me I had tartar. Doctor, I said, I use regular baking soda toothpaste, but my teeth feel clean. Jakey said, it's not enough. Use new tartar control Crest with baking soda, and your teeth will be cleaner.
Now you can get the clean feeling of baking soda and proven tartar control from Crest in a toothpaste that prevents tartar better than regular baking soda toothpaste.
So I brushed with tartar control Crest with baking soda, and my next visit's great. I finally cleaned up my act.
A smart choice from the dentist's choice.
Here you go. Try this. It's a new cereal.
Ooh, granola.
No, it's new. It's Branola.
Great crunchy granola.
Bob, it's more than granola. It's Branola with a B, like your name.
Ah, but that taste, those crunchy golden clusters baked with a touch of honey. And look, raisins.
It's got fiber from bran.
Oh, I get it. Bran granola. Branola. With a B. Like my name. Bob.
New low-fat post-granola cereal. Original or with raisins. More than granola. Branola.
116 years, we've been handling the business part of life so you could enjoy the living part. Household for the business of living.
With all I've got to do, I can't afford a sleepless night. So when I feel I can't sleep, I take Maximum Strength Nitol. It's safe and it works fast, and that means a better night's sleep.
Get to sleep in minimum time with Maximum Strength Nitol.
Imagine going to the hospital and finding out your doctors are ripping you off. Patients charged more than 10 times too much for medicine. Could it happen to you? A Dateline investigation Tuesday.
Finally tonight, had he lived, Elvis Presley would have turned 59 years old today. The airlines, knowing that since his death this day has meant an annual pilgrimage to Memphis, offered a tribute of their own, cheap seats. NBC's Bob Dotson tonight with the predictable result.
Elvis isn't dead. He's just flying coach. 4 airlines offered cheap seats for the King's birthday. $79 round trip to his home in Memphis. $59 if you could convince ticket takers you could be the king.
What a deal. Big goes to show we'll do anything for $20, right?
So many fans showed up in Dallas, Americans switched a small plane for a wide body and still sold out at 6 a.m. Many of the flyers had seen this movie.
We're the Flying Elvis' Utah chapter.
Today's cheap seats did include a landing.
Is anybody here named Elvis?
Right here, the real Elvis. We don't have long. We've got a show tonight. Nobody knows about it yet. 8 o'clock.
Where you been all these years?
Well, I was at the Citrus Bowl last week.
I think I used to date a girl that looked like you.
Oh, really? I'm sure. He's alive.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Question. Would the king really fly coach? On a plane from Chicago, anyone who could sing Jailhouse Rock was upgraded to first class.
Once through a party and a cow in a jail.
The dummy won.
I'm going home. I'm real tired.
There is a certain urgency to this 59th birthday celebration.
Peace and 94. Thank you, Memphis. Thank you, Memphis.
A cheap seat, like fame, is fleeting. Most require flyers to return home before midnight. Then, like Elvis, they'll disappear. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Memphis, Tennessee.
That is Nightly News for this Saturday. I'm Brian Williams. Good night.